Thank you. And we are live. What's going on, fellow traders? Let me get this tweeted out here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. Let me just get a couple of things organized here real quick. Make sure everything is turned on. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes, today's gonna be a really fun one. Let me. I gotta get one more thing pulled up here. Super organized. Okay. Good, good, good. So, again, today is we're going to continue our discussion on trading options. We're going to talk about picking options today. So, real quick, I'm going to do a quick recap of the market, give us a state of the market, things like that, and then we'll go into that discussion there. So, let me get this pulled up here. Okay, so we have the SPX. Those are today's levels. And just keep in mind, newsletter subscribers get that tweeted out to get those free levels to them, every day, and along with other cool goodies. So anyway, here we are. So with the SPX, so we have quite a month going on right now. So we have only a couple days left in the month. Um, Thursday and Friday, so only 2 more trading days left in the month. Quick recap here. The reason that we look at the larger term time frames, the monthly chart, if you're a newsletter subscriber, we even get into the quarterly chart, and you probably see me tweet that out too if you follow on Twitter. But the idea is the reason why we want to do that is because we want to get a big perspective of the market, see kind of what's going on, right? We can see the bigger candles here and really get an idea of where some of the big money might be hiding, kind of what the general direction is, and if you guys checked out the Dow theory. We talked about like the 50 moving average on the monthly, right? You can see how that held like really, really well. If you go back in time, here we go. You see how that 50 movement, which is this red line right here, really served as an awesome trend line for the entire market, right? So far, obviously we're still way above the 50 moving average, and in fact, a little bit of correction, isn't a horrible thing to get back into kind of this general range, and then continue to slowly work its way up. But it also gives us an idea short term, kind of the general direction that things are going. So we had our December lows here, and then Christmas reversal, and then inside month in the January. And then from there, that broke to the upside, gave us a spinning top here, hammer month, and then a Mariposa month here. And then we finally hit all-time highs again this month, right? We kind of took out these all-time highs here, and then quickly reversed off of that, right? Which is sensible, right? Because if you think about it, right, you had this big move up. Anybody who was like holding long here, right, and was able to stomach through this entire move here, probably wanted to get out there. So you have a big resistance point right here, and from there, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 green months, and now we have a red month right now. So it's currently showing as a bearish engulfing too, which might show there's potential more downside falling. But if we look at this month here, this was also bearish engulfing on the real body, right? And then the next month went inside month, but of course then there it took that inside month to the downside and gave a really big move, 26, 26, all the way down to almost 300 points, right? But here we had 1, 2, 3 green months, a red month, right? 2 green months, a red month. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you get occasionally you get you're going to have a red month, right? So we'll see if it gets any follow through or not. So, but interesting stuff. If we go to the weekly chart, we talked about this in the newsletter a little bit. We've had this open gap down here on the weekly chart as the weekly broke out of the cloud, right, and continued to push to the upside and gave you a hangman top here at the upper Keltner channel, but it left that open gap on the weekly, which is very rare, right? If you go through the weekly chart, you don't really see too many open gaps, right? So usually they get filled, and by filled, at least by the a shadow of another bar. So that's really rare. So this is it. This not only was this a breakout of the cloud, this is a bullish kicking bar. And so it just continued to push its way to the upside. And now, a couple weeks ago, we filled that gap here with this, with this lower shadow, and then spinning top here, spinning top here, spinning top here, and then we had this, red week so far. So we'll see. But what we did do is we bounced off the 50 moving average on the weekly, and we bounced off the weekly cloud. Okay, so that does, have some potential hope for support on the weekly chart, but we'll see if that gets any fall through. So far on the daily, what we've seen is a continued down move, right, and then a breakdown out of the cloud and a gap through the cloud. So, but it did hold its 200 moving average. All Bollinger Bands are pointing down. So in general, things are looking like a potential change of trend. But we just have to look at the price action and kind of go from there. Positive Trend newsletter subscribers get access to the private Twitter feed where I post my trades intraday. And so what we do is we look at particularly we look at the SPX. You can trade SPY as well, but I do like to look at the SPX. So here are the levels that all the positive trenders get as well. And so so you can see that these levels play out really well. So we gap down today. We gapped right to the daily S1 level, kind of came down, hit the monthly S3 level, bounced off of that, and you can see these trend lines, right? You have a breakout here, move up. Okay, you have a breakout here, move down, right? So breakout here, move up, right? For a short little bear flag right here, and then that final push down where it got to the weekly S2 line and then couldn't get any lower than that, right? And so they finally broke up, right? Came down, right? Nice little bear flag right here, and then this huge spike up out of nowhere. And really interestingly enough, is anytime you have those crazy spikes out of nowhere, the price likes to kind of test that level again. It likes to revisit those levels, right? So once it revisited those levels, we had a downtrend line here, right? Break to the upside, and then a nice push there. So anybody who watched the 3-minute video over the Memorial Day weekend, if not, you can check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, and then go to the videos, and you can see the Memorial Day video. And I'm gonna start doing more of those 3-minute segments too. Just they're great little educational nuggets. But you get to see how trend lines work intraday. Okay, so from there, bigger picture, we have the SPX here. Right, so we had basically all through 2018 we was contained within this golden channel right here. Kind of worked its way up, double top, right, tagged the bottom of the channel. Came back up, on a 2 bounce move, right, retest these levels, a smaller bounce, and then finally pushed through the channel there, and then finally got a reversal, all the way back up. So as you recall, all this stuff was contained within that monthly chart. Okay, so that kind of gave us this big push to the upside, and we look at the pitchforks. So that's this blue line right here. So the pitchfork kind of pushed to the upside, tested that resistance level. Also a pitchfork midpoint line here between the median and the upper pitchfork, and then kind of came back down here. And today we got below the pitchfork, and right now we're holding this RSI support level. So it is possible that we could get a reversal. Right, futures are looking a little bit green right now. We could get a reversal, get back through the median line, and start getting constructive again. If not, if it breaks down through this RSI level and continues to the downside, we have the bottom of that golden channel that we looked at all the way through 2018, and then now into 2019, we'll see if it retests those levels. If it does, you're talking about 2687 area. So, anyway, caution is obviously still warranted. So. Hopefully you guys found that helpful. A quick recap. So what I want to do is go over our, just update here on our options made easy discussion. Okay, so just going to real quick recap. Day one we talked about option pricing. Yesterday we went through the Greeks, and today we're going to talk about picking options. So it should be pretty straightforward. It's just basically going through, how we evaluate options and using the Greeks, using the pricing to look for options for particular trades we want. I'm not going to get into anything super sophisticated. I'm not going to be selling premium here. I'm just looking at buying calls and and buying puts. Okay, so just to make profits. So remember the key is. Right, so we know the values, so we understand why we would consider trading in the money options, but we can also look at out of the money options. But just remember, out of the money options have no intrinsic value. Okay, there's no intrinsic value to them. They're 100% time value. So you have to be right. You have to be right on direction. You have to be right on momentum. You have to be right on movement. You have to be right on time. Right, so it's got to move in a certain amount of time. So it's really, really critical. Okay, we talked about the Greeks yesterday. We went through a lot of ones. Delta is super important because that tells you, how much related to the stock movement the options are going to go. Right, we talked about gamma, which is your acceleration, the rate of change of the delta. Right, we talked about vega. Right, when we think vega, V volatility, right? So VV. Okay, theta, that's your time decay, and rho is your rate of interest. Right, so we talked about all that stuff yesterday, and so today we're going to talk about the picking of options. Right, so best for what time frame? So the question is. What are we looking at, right? So with options, we have a lot of different things. So let me kind of go back here and just take a look at the Thinkorswim chart here. So if we go to options, right, we kind of click on this trade button. So if you're using Robinhood or something like that, all good. Thinkorswim, I think you can get, I'm pretty sure you can get it free, right, with just by opening an account. So I know you don't have to pay any monthly fees to use it. But here is actually, let me go to SPY because we've been kind of analyzing SPY all week. And so the idea is the first point that I was saying is what time frame are we looking for, right? So when we're looking at charts and say we find a pattern that we really like, and let's just go to the daily chart. Let's just kind of start with that. Or let's go to the monthly actually. Okay, so with the monthly chart, right? We have this. Let's say it's the end of the month, right? And we have this bearish engulfing month, and we're really convinced that this candle is gonna, give us a nice percentage play, where we could possibly at least retest, a couple different levels. So, so on the SPY, right? So what we would do is we would be like, okay, so if we're trading off the monthly chart for monthly, on the monthly time frame, we might want to target this level. Let's say we closed here at the month, or we're pretty close to closing there. We want to swing a little bit. So our next target here would be the low of this bar, right? So that's well, I can move up there, but 272.42. Okay, and right now we're closed at 278. Okay, so that's a 6-point move, which is a pretty decent move on the SPY, right? So what we would do is we go here, and we would look and we would evaluate what makes the most sense. Okay, so we got to look at our time frame. So we want to think of how long it could get there. Well, do we think it's going to get there a day? Well, we're trading off the monthly chart, right? It took 2 months to get up here, and it only took about half that time to get down back to these levels. So let's say we think we could get to this 270. I'm sorry, this 272.42 in 2 weeks. Okay, does that mean that we pick an option that's this week? No, we don't want to do that, right? Because it'll expire, right? So these are your weekly options, right? So you can see here they say right here weekly. Okay, these are your monthlies, right? Anything that's that doesn't say weekly is going to be your monthly, right? So sometimes monthly can match with a quarterly and could also be a weekly close as well. Very similar, but sometimes they reprice them as well. But here this closes the month and closes the week as well. So that being said, you don't want if we're trading out, we think it's going to get there in 2 weeks, right? We don't want to pick something that is the same expiration, right? Because you're going to be waiting, and then you're going to find out that you either might get assigned the options themselves, or they're just going to expire worthless, and we don't want to do that, right? We're in this to make money, so we don't do that. So let's say so 2 weeks from now is February. Is May 15th. So essentially, so kind of the middle of the month. So we would look here. So we have so these are I'm sorry, June 15th. Sorry, I'm in May. Okay, so June 15th. So we wouldn't want to trade any of these, right? Because they would all expire before expiration. Even here. So here you could look at the 17s, right? So that would give you right after 2 weeks. The problem is you have theta, right? We talked about that yesterday. So we don't want to look at these if we're planning on hitting our target in in 2 weeks. And the reason is because theta is really going to start to burn really, really quickly, because say like June, I think June 15th is on a so June 15th is June 15th is a Saturday, but you get the idea. So this is a Monday expiration on the 17th. So let's just say June 14th. Okay, so that's the 14th right there. So so that being said, right, we don't want to pick something that's going to give us all that theta, because we're going to be sitting through all of this, right, and whether it moved around, let's say it chopped around for a little bit or moved up and down, right, we don't want to deal with that, okay? I know this is pretty simplistic, but, this is basically for everybody. So the idea is here, so what will we do? So when we look at the Junes, well, June 21st, there's going to be a lot of theta decay there. So probably not, right? So, we might look at the next month, right? So we might look at the monthlies. Now you can look at the closer the weeklies, but let's just look at the July 19th. Okay, so these are monthly, so we're going out basically, 30 days from, 45 days, about 30 days from when we thought the expiration would be. And we're doing this, why? Because we don't want to deal with theta decay. Okay, we just want to capitalize on the movement of the underlying. Okay, so here's your Julys. Okay, and obviously they're going to be more expensive than what you're used to, because, right, there's the time value, right? So, but still not, horribly, unreasonably priced, like $7. And we thought that we would get to, right, 272. Okay, so those are $4 if you got your out of the monies, right? But keep in mind, there's no intrinsic value in these. Okay, so you have to, it has to hit your levels, really well. Okay, so, or, we could get, kind of step up to the plate a little bit and look at our 0.70. This is kind of a really good level. You could go all the way to the ones, but those get like super expensive, right? The 1 deltas. But 0.70 is a good rule of thumb, a good value to look at for deltas on options, right? So if we, so let's just say here we put the 287s. Okay, so they're $11.83. Okay, and so the idea is, if we pull up this chart here of these puts, copy this. Okay, it's going to look the opposite of the two, but if we just go to the monthly on these puts, okay, it's going to be the opposite. Obviously, they've gone up a lot this month because the market has gone down. Okay, so the idea is, we want to get to 272, right? And so once it hits that level, right, we're hoping that we're going to capitalize. So at some point there, what we do is, at some point there, we're going to take profit, right? So we go to analyze, we take a look at the, actually, let me go back here. Oh, now it's got that. Goodness, guys, sorry. And see where we might be. We go back to the Julys. Go to the 287s. here. Okay, I'm just going to analyze. Actually, I'm going to add. I'm just going to. I don't want a butterfly. Delete. Let's buy one of those. Okay, then I'm going to analyze this put. Okay, analyze trade. All right, so this shows me. Let me remove a couple of this other nonsense here. All right, I just want to look at this put. Okay, so the idea is if we get to that 282 level, right? And this is dated today's date. So what you can do is with think of something, you can estimate your date. So let's say we're in June. We thought it was be about June 14th, 2019. So we can kind of look and see where we would be at, right? This 272 level. So this kind of recalculates. It kind of redistributes it as if it were this date, right? And if it's going down, so we would expect the volatility. You kind of click down here and you can increase your volatility. Say it goes up, another 10%. Okay, so just kind of shows you, gives you can experiment with those. Kind of gives you an idea what happens with the market. We get down to 272, and this is before expiration. So our investment of $11.83, right, would go to approximately here 272.14. Let's say we hit that level, so about $600. So we make a nice 50% trade just by hitting our target, right? And then we talked about tomorrow. We'll talk about more about stop placement and things like that. But this is the idea. Okay, so if you're swinging options, you want to go out beyond your target date. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a pickle, right? So you just got to be careful, right? Because essentially, if you go to your dates, right? So let's say we wanted June 14th. Well, June 14th at the if we weren't in the money, or if we didn't hit our 272 target, we were still waiting. Well, instead of being at $11, you can kind of approximate it by going to, let's just say, the end of the week. Say we're really, really close to the expiration. So say it's here. Actually, it would be better to look at this one. Okay, so we're looking at the 287s. So if things didn't move, right away. I mean, right now, you can see already there's, the theta decay, kind of cooked in, right? And even if you were down, even at that lower level, like that 272 level, right? You can see how kind of worthless those are, right? So the 287s here are like $9. So already they kind of just went down $2 just by staying at the exact same price and being a lot closer to expiration, right? So this just kind of shows you at those levels where they're at. A little bit different, right? Because your volatilities are going to be different, right? So here you can clearly see your implied volatility is higher percentage-wise than it is in July, right? It's 17, to 19%. So it all depends on what the market is. So we'll talk more about stops tomorrow, things like that. So real quick, so we kind of touched on that. So we looked at the different time frames. So we kind of showed the monthlies, and the weeklies. And which one we could choose, right? So we looked at the monthlies when we're swinging. Now the weeklies we could take a closer look at, because when you trade options, sometimes you want to capitalize on quick moves, right? And so real quick, no pun intended. If we're looking for a quick move, one thing we can consider is going out of the money on the options. Okay, so if here on the let's just say let's go to a smaller time frame. Let's say, all right, let's say we're day trading here. Okay, let's say we catch right at the end of the day. Okay, so we're kind of right at this price range. Okay, so it's 277, and 30 something cents. Okay, well we think it's going to go up, 50 cents. Okay, so that would be 278, just say, and 20 cents. So 278 and 20 cents is right here. Okay, so if we really, really think that, right, we might want to go out of the money so we can capitalize on an increase in the delta size, which basically means that you get some momentum on it, right? So that's why sometimes we look at out of the money options. You don't have to do it. Personally, I always recommend in the money, or I always suggest in the money, because it is you have more control of your trade. But once these things do move like this, you can see that they move quickly. So at that point, you're just looking to capitalize on a quick option move. So at this point, if we did the 282s today, or we could even look at how it was, you could even do the same day's expiration. So we could look at just kind of today's. So the 282s. I'm sorry, did I say 282? Let's see. Yeah, so where do we go? 27. I'm sorry, did I say 270? Gosh, I was jumping around. I'm used to dealing with SPX. So 277, here to 278.20. Okay, so 278. So let's say just like the 279s. Now you can see we closed below 279, so these expired worthless, right? There's no intrinsic value. But if you were in the money, right, you have some intrinsic value, right? So they close with some value, right? The difference between your price and your strike, right? So here, strike was 275, they're 278. Guess what? They're about $3. Okay, so because they have intrinsic value. All right, so just say you wanted to hit the 279s because you wanted to capitalize on that. Well, you can see here, there was at least a high there. We'll see what those did. Okay, so we'll go to those. We'll copy that. Go here, here. Okay, so it was right there at the end of the day. And you can see there was a nice spike in those options. And these are when you have to focus on time, and you also don't want to get assigned if you're dealing with the same day expiration. So just be really, really careful with that. Can't emphasize that enough. But here they were about 4 cents. Okay, and if we caught that break, right? So 5 cents, and it went all the way up to 23 cents. So that was a 4x trade, right? Just just trading that breakout, and there was a lot of theta to deal with too. So you can see it came down really, really quickly. But if you can catch those breaks, that is the purpose of trading weekly options, right? You don't want to swing these because the theta accelerates too quickly, as the week goes on, especially if you're trading on expiration day, right? So that's why we call them, quote unquote lottos, right? That we trade on Fridays because Friday is a typical expiration day, either for a week or for a month, and then a lot of that theta is like really burning quickly, so you got to catch one of these moves. So 4 cents, to 20 cents could be a big move right there. So hopefully that makes sense there. Let me just double check, make sure I hit everything on the list. So those are kind of the different strategies that we looked at. So we looked at weeklies. That's the shorter term time frame. So we might look at out of the monies, but you can still do in the monies as well. They work just as well. I mean, look, I can just show you real quick. So instead of doing the 279s, if we were in the money, let's just say 277s. So same time frame, you still would have capitalized pretty well. Let's take a look. So still a nice spike, right? Costs a little bit more, but you went from, might not be as huge. You went from about, 60 cents, all the way up to, $1.70. So you didn't get the 4x move, but you still got a nice $2 move. You had intrinsic value, and right, you capitalize on, on a good move, and you can control the trade. So, you don't have to go for those lottos because they decelerate really fast as you get to expiration time. And then so we talked about that. We talked about monthly strategies for swinging, and then just real quick, important things to consider when you're picking things to trade. So I talk to a lot of folks, and I always recommend, hey, if you're learning options, just deal with the SPY. Right? There's so much that you can do with SPY. Just intraday. We look at these time frames and just trading. Kind of levels that we do with the newsletter. Things like that. And the beauty of SPY is, and we looked at this yesterday a little bit. The beauty of the SPY is, right? Volume, open interest. They're liquid, right? And the spreads are good. They're reasonable. Look, 3 cents, 4 cents, right? 5 cents right here. I mean, this is really, really reasonable. When you start trading stuff like Amazon or Tesla and the spreads start to be like $1 between your bid and your ask, that can get really dangerous, right? Especially if it gets stopped out, right? In a market order, because what we thought was $1 stop could turn into a $2 stop really quickly, and then you're down. Right, so we don't like that. So SPY, you can very easily control it, and as you get better with it, you just increase the size. Right, so you can start with 1, just get really comfortable doing it. A 10, 15 cent move on SPY is really, really good. Right, so that's maybe 10, 15 bucks on one call. Right, might barely get away with commission on that one, but eventually you move to 2. Then your 10, 15 point move turns to 30 bucks. Then you move to 10, turns to 300 bucks. So you can see how that works. Right, so that you just got to get good at it, and that is the key. So it's important for all of us. So so just want to talk about that. And then, oh, did I not show that last screen? Yeah, sorry. So this is the SPY. Sorry, guys. I thought I clicked off of it. These are the spreads. They are awesome. Sorry for not clicking that over. That was my bad. Volume, really important. We talked about volume and open interest. And then that's what I said here, this last part right here, known stock and index. So SPY is very well known. It is liquid. It is, it is popular. So it's really important. Now you can get into the fangers, right? So we said like Facebook is usually pretty good as long as you're not getting into earnings season, right? It can get a little funky around there. But for the most part, you can see the difference here, right? So we're looking at like 10 cent spreads. These are 3, but this is 4 or 5 cents. Well, 10 cents right here, right? Look at this right here, 30 cents. That gets risky, okay? I mean, the volume is good and everything, but when these things jump around, and you're expecting 10, like 2, you're used to 2 to 3 point spreads, and they start jumping to like 10, 15 cents. That's a big deal. It affects your sizing, right? Because if you have, you put 10 calls on, suddenly, just basically one tick move, of 10 cents is, it costs you $100, right? So you got to be really, really careful with that. So that is why it's really important to trade something you're familiar with, and then you understand that there's good open interest and good volume on it, right? So look at Tesla. Let's just go to it real quickly. Now, obviously, if you capitalize on a move, it's great, but if you get stopped out, right? And we'll talk more about stops tomorrow. Right, you're dealing with 20 cent spreads right here, right? 20 cents, right? 10 cents. Here, if you trade in the monies, right? You're looking at like sometimes almost $1 or more, right? So I've seen it. I've definitely seen Tesla, dollar, $1.50, and that's not fun, right? Because you can't control your trade. So, right, unless you start, unless you get into like call spreads and things like that. So, so just a lot of things to consider there. But hopefully you guys find that helpful, and this just kind of gives you an idea of a good way to pick options. So. Awesome stuff. Well, thank you guys for checking this out. I think hopefully it's been a really helpful couple days here. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about stops on options, and then and then we'll wrap it up tomorrow. So really appreciate everybody for tuning in. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window, and I'll get to as many as I can. I guess we'll try to wrap up before 10:30 so everybody can get a good night's sleep. So 1 second. Alpesh, hello. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. SMDC4S, what is going on? Good to see you. SPX, end of the day bounce was great. Absolutely. Totally phenomenal. So just another quick look at that. You got to love it. So here's our levels. Right? Held S2 perfectly at the end of the day. Downward trend line. Right? Break at the downward trend line. We put our box there. Nice break at the box. So, 27.74, boom, all the way up to, a nice 10-point move at the end of the day. Can't complain about that at all. Awesome stuff. MCC, OS finished at minus 61 over. Oh, yeah, the McClellan, awesome. Yeah, well, good. That gives us an opportunity potentially to go longer. Skyburst, how are you? Good to see you. NetFry, what's going on, my friend? Thanks for jumping in. Harvey, how are you? Always good to see you. La Machine Polonaise, good evening. I hope this is covering a lot of good stuff. It's just tough to pack everything into 1 week. So maybe one day when I get like huge like tasty trade, I'll be able to do like a whole educational series. So there's a cool stuff like that. But Justin, what's going on? Glad you made it, man. Long time no see. Heather, how are you? Thank you for tuning in. Sarah, good evening. Nice to see you. Call Saul, what's up? Hope you had a good day today. I know you're busy. Shirley, welcome. Good to see you. Prayer Kid, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Prayer Kid, one of the questions I get a lot is how to get approved for naked options. Maybe you can explain better than I can. Okay, so cool. Great question. So naked options, basically the first, with your broker, right? The key is just to get approved for options, right? And to do that, with most brokers, they have like a quick little option course, and it's usually really good. So you can kind of click through that and learn what they say about options, and then boom, you're able to trade options. So the real trick is being able to sell naked options, right? So that's really the key. So buying calls, buying puts, they're naked, right? So they're there, but you can do that because for the most part, brokers won't assign you, especially if you're out of the money. Okay, so but always check with your broker, right? And don't be afraid to call your broker. Robinhood, you can't call them, but you can still email them. But if you guys, remember Thinkorswim, you can call them up. They've got a trading desk. They can answer tons of questions for you intraday. I remember when I was like starting out, I would call them all the time, and I would talk to the guys, and I'd be like, hey, what if I do this? What if I do this? And I'd wear them out, but eventually you develop a good relationship with them, and they talk to you, and they kind of have fun talking to you and all that stuff. So, so you can really learn a lot from the broker itself. But anyway, yeah. So with naked options, that's all about selling naked options. Okay, and the idea is what they say is that the reason that you can't sell naked options, and I'll show you real quick, is you go here, right? So if I want to sell an option, right, what they say is it has unlimited risk. Right? So the reason that you want to sell options, the reason that we look to sell options, now you have to have a margin account to do it. So if you have a cash account, don't worry about it, no big deal. It's all just just focus on the setups and picking the right ways. But just for here, let's kind of take for example, say I want to sell. I'll show this as an example. So let's say I want to sell just a single there. Okay, so you guys can see. I hope you guys can see this. Confirm and send. I want to see if you guys. Okay, so here you can kind of see this pull up right here. It says that it is illegal. Can you guys see that? No, let me pull it up. I have to do one thing. 1 second. To add source, I want you guys to see this. Screen capture, window. Hold on. I'm trying to find this on the Thinkorswim. Order confirmation. There we go. So here's your order confirmation screen. Okay, so if you try to sell this, right, what does it say? It says it's illegal. You can't do it, right? So, well, you can, right? So I keep a cash account, so no reason to use options or no reason to use margin. But the idea is if you're approved for it, right, or if you have a if you have a margin account that's approved for it, they say that your max loss is infinite. Okay, and the idea is, well, it could be, right, because the stock, let's say I'm selling a call, right? So I'm basically saying it could go to zero. So they're saying that the stock could go, that SPY could go to infinity, and I would lose everything, right? Or so yeah, no, actually, I'm sorry. I'm selling a call, so it would go. So they could say this that SPY could go to zero. Okay, and it is possible, I suppose. And if it does go to zero, you would lose, just like huge, massive amounts of money and all that stuff. But if you have proper management and you can manage these just like anything, you can set stops on them, which is really ridiculous. They trade just like anything else, except you get to maximize your premium because you're selling premium, right? So in a very volatile market, by selling, if you think that it's going to go back up, selling a put might be a good way to go because you think it's going up, and then you get to capitalize on the premium too. So that's basically it. It does that because it says, hey, this could possibly go to zero, which means your loss would be infinite, and then it would be, that's the whole deal with it. So, but once you get approved for it, you click through, click through your broker and all that stuff, then you're good, So, and then nobody trades it like that. So, so it just doesn't happen. But yeah, so they make it look really, really horrifying. As long as you manage it correctly, you're good. So hopefully that answers that question. Merit Forever, what's going on? Good to see you. Let's take a look at BYND. Oh man, futures were green a little bit ago. Now they're red. It's gonna be another fun day tomorrow. So definitely, we need to take a look at the VIX in a little bit. Wow, beyond meat, beyond comprehension, beyond belief. Right. Nice. Push, pull back, push. Pause a little bit, push. Just really, really amazing stuff. I mean, this is one of those ones you just have to. It's not like Uber or Lyft, right, or Levi or any of the other new ones. This one is just somehow it's got the hype on it, and people are buying it, or institutions are buying it. Whatever the case is, it's moving. So let's take a look. Excuse me. Let's take a look at candles first because the IPOs are great with candles. Wow, incredible move. So, red day today in the market, and this thing just crushed it. So, broke the previous highs. This is what we talk about, newsletter subscribers and video followers. We call this a tail fail, or I do. So it's basically a shooting star, right? And of course, it has that topping tail, right? So if that topping tail fails, so anybody who's short here, has a lot of stops that are up here. And once you get through that, if that tail fails, right, they're going to cover and it's going to launch and they're going to squeeze and it's going to move. And so that is what happened right here. And I think it got like an upgrade today, or all that sort of stuff. So just a huge thing. So possibly you could have traded the 15 orb on this today, just given the given the hype and all that stuff. So here is your 15 orb. Okay, ultimately it looked really, really well, but you had to wait all day for it. That's the hard part. So there's your orb. Okay, let me actually remove that one. Previously. Okay, so you see this break here. So eventually it broke, but it came back in, but it held these levels really, really well. And then eventually, from contraction leads to expansion. Here's your contraction for a long time. You can kind of draw like a triangle around it. Contraction comes expansion. Okay, so yeah, so looking really, really bullish. Again, I would just keep an eye on it. Look for, I'm sure there'll be more hype on it tomorrow and the next coming days. Just look for more 15 orb type setups, and then kind of go from there. I think it actually got some sort of weird boost here at the end, but anyway, but really cool stuff. Definitely one to keep an eye on. Experience and thoughts. SPY. Okay, very, very good. So SPY very similar to the SPX. Let's take a look. Okay, so SPY, like we said, very similar stuff. Let me actually take those drawings off there. Clear. Okay, so so SPY, right, has been working its way basically down, from the all-time high, from its all-time highs, hit the cloud here, bounced back up again, was looking here like some potential, right, that it could break out of the cloud, but it couldn't do it, right? So it came back in the cloud, and then now here we are, this nasty, downward, really, really super thick shooting star, and then, gap down out of the cloud, right? And so from there, we hit our, the 200-day moving average and reverse off of it. So with volume, right? So we had volume today too. So it is possible that this could reverse and then, kind of start pushing its way back up into the cloud. But for now, everything is pointing down. Bollinger Bands are pointing down. Moving averages are pointing down, right? So and the trend is down. right? So obviously you can get relief bounces and all that stuff, could fill some gaps, but for the most part, still looking pretty bearish right here. So that is just one thing to keep in mind. And then, just kind of overall kind of perspective. Look at this, guys. So remember we did this action reaction line on SPY recently. So here's your, your base point. Here's your action line, reaction line. So we're right at the reaction line here, and look what it's done. Basically worked its way up, and it is now basically kind of working its way down this reaction line. So it also happens to be at this pitchfork midpoint line, median line. So this is kind of a key level. So if it can hold and break back up, then you might, work yourself up back kind of these all-time high areas and back to the second reaction line. So it could be pretty interesting there. NetFry, your screen is behaving like electricity connection. That is possible. I apologize. Great, my pleasure. Thanks, man. You the best, NetFry. Session, what's going on? Good to see you. All right, let's take a look at ALL, A-L-L. And thank you for your support session. Let's see. So we've got ALL, Allstate. Goodness gracious. Why is this moving around like this? Okay, there it is. Hello. Okay, so that's this. Okay, so Allstate has been, relatively bullish. Let's take a look. So here's your trend line. Go to your highs. Go to the next pivot point down before it. So you're right here. So in all honesty, Allstate is breaking down. Right, so here's your breakdown point. This is a key level. So it's been consolidating. We have to really, really watch and see if it breaks down out of this box. Okay, because that minor pivot low on the daily could lead to significant push to the downside. It's got dividends like kind of coming up, right? That usually moves down on there. And then if it breaks down through there, you got a nice open gap right here from the previous earnings. So, but there are support levels, right? So here's, support. That's pretty good support. So, but if it did break down, I could at least test that. And if that breaks down, then I would imagine the gap gets filled there. So very, very interesting. Xilinx. Yes, I got a few texts on this one today for a potential reversal. Let's take a look. Wow. Funny how I missed it. Sometimes when it's the important thing about keeping a journal, of things that you want to re-review. So I set alerts on things a lot just to double check if things happen today. It kind of reminds me. So today was a really important day. So here's your downward trend line from the gap down, right? This was your low. So that is your next pivot point. So you're good there. So we broke out of that today. And now that is forming a key level. And so I'm going to move this alert down here. And we will keep an eye on this. This looks really, really good. I'm going to add that to the game plan for tonight. So give me 1 second. One moment. I love when you guys have stuff that I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Let's see, Thursday. Let's definitely add Xilinx to that. Awesome. Love it. So yeah, this has huge potential, right? And this is a Morningstar. It looks like a Morningstar. Let's take a look how it looks on the candlesticks. Yeah, not quite, but it looked like it a little bit on the bar chart. But you had this bar here. If that real body had closed below this real body, then this would be a nice Morningstar setup. But good enough for me, right? So so let's see. I like the railroad tracks right here, so it could potentially work its way back up. A lot of nice gaps here. So that is definitely going on the list. I love it. I like it a lot. And let's see, CRM. CRM and Lulu. I'm glad you mentioned those. Those are both just kind of equally challenging to trade. So CRM could be, kind of working on like a little. It's got earnings coming up so soon, on that it's really hard to trade into it, right? If anything, you might be able to catch a little bit of an earnings run on it. I mean, you're at some pretty decent support right here. Right, so if we can hold, if we get above yesterday's highs, you might get a little bit of a spike in it or something like that. But for me, just it's kind of hands off right now. It's just we're clearly in the contraction is leading to expansion phase. So we'll see how it does from there. Lulu. Wow, wow, what a day! Thank you for mentioning this. This is going on the short radar. I mean, because look at that. It just pushed itself with all its might it could into the gap today. So I don't see why there couldn't be follow through tomorrow. So that is worth looking at too. Follow through. So good. Wow, really awesome ones here. I mean, this just looks super bearish. so I'm going to add that to the short list for tomorrow. Very, very good. Difficult to trade, but if you can catch it right, it could work. So 15 orb is possible too. Maybe there'll be some news. And then PayPal. Haven't looked at that one. PYPL. Okay, looking good. All right, so it held this level really, really well. But as you can see, it broke down, right? Kind of broke down through there. Came back out and tested again and is back down again, and it is looking lower. It looks like it at least wants to test this 107 type level. So I know it's not hugely far away, but it does look like kind of like the next testing point there on that fib fan line. So just keep an eye on that level. Really, really good ones. Thank you. Spreads are nasty and no OI on BYND. Yeah, that's the stinky part. So yeah, just nothing. Well, let's take a look. Does it have options on it yet? I think we talked about this the other day. Yeah. Yeah, spreads are nasty. 30 cents. Look at that. That's like 55 cents. Yeah, you just have to be so perfectly right on those, right? I mean, obviously being 500% right would be great, but when you really want to manage a trade, that makes it really, really tough, right? I mean, even up here's actually not that bad in the money. 30 cents. Yeah, it's still pretty rough though. So yeah, I agree. Call Saul. Unless you're comfortable with those, right? Not for me. I like to have a nice liquid, nice spreads, that don't jump around like crazy. So, thanks per kid. Yeah. Well, hey, I do my best. I do the best I can. So, but thank you again. Thank you for your support and the question too. Call Saul doesn't solve open interest. That's right. It does not solve open interest. So, open interest is still blah. I mean, it's okay. I mean, 800 and all that stuff, but you don't see. Well, you see a few thousand up here. That's pretty good. So, but a lot of that was today. Look at that, 3,400 today. So a lot of volume to 5,000 today. So people are starting to step up here. So we'll see. Jesse, what's going on? Yeah, let's check home bidder Lennar and Toll Brothers. Absolutely. Let's get Len. Okay, cool. It's doing some things. Oh, wait, that wasn't quite accurate. All right, it held these levels. Look at that nice 2B reversal right here, blown to the upside. So that is nice. Kind of a little bit of a cup and handle. Nice break out of there. Gap from last earnings. Let's take a look at our trend line. Here's your low. Here's your high. So we go down to the next significant pivot low right there. So we are breaking down below this trend line. Okay, and so we just have to be careful. So this is a key level. We'll see if it kind of moves, kind of curls back up a little bit, and then could break. Or if it gets back above the trend line, then you're safe. Right, that type of thing. So, but yeah, this is that is looking very interesting. RSI is pointing down. Just be a little bit cautious with that. And then Toll Brothers. TOL, sorry, 1L. Same. Look at that. If I'm seeing it right. Okay. So interestingly enough, it's holding this volumetric level right here. So we looked at that recently, but let me remove that. We can do a couple things. We can do a fib. Let's do a fib fan. Here to here. Okay, so holding volumetric. If it breaks down below there, still might test at 34, and then after that, you're looking at 33, right? So, your trend line, you want a significant one here. It's kind of like a couple different levels. This was your key level here. Do you see that? Just on that 3-minute video. That's your breakdown point, that pivot right there. And then it broke through that pivot just a couple days ago, and then boom, right? So, nice. I bet you will like the possibility for downside. I do, as a matter. So thank you for mentioning it. Yeah, they're looking bearish. So I do feel the same. So yes, I was bearish on both of those. So both of them are breaking down. But just be careful here with Toll because it is at some volumetric support. Lennar looks a little bit more bearish. Call Saul, what's going on? So in Roku, let's see. Lost it. There we go. Tesla, Facebook, Google, and Roku. Whoop, whoop. Thank you very much. My pleasure. All right, so let's look at Tesla. So Tesla is cool. Let's take a look at what it did on the 60s because I know we were pointing that out intraday a little bit. Tesla, still just breaking down here. I mean, I would use this pivot point right here for the for this. Tesla can do whatever it wants to, right? But let's just use up here. There's your low. There's your pivot right there. So just kind of look and see how it handles that for a potential reversal and break to the upside. And then let's look at that. Let's see how it behaved today on that hourly chart. Crazy. inside bar on that first hour right here. That was your reversal bar. So anytime you have an inside bar and that kind of breaks to the downside, comes back up, you would expect some follow through. So that got you that follow through there, that 187. To 189, so kind of 2-point move, kind of blah, but it was kind of hanging around the VWAP, and then it was like really choppy, and then just did this. So kind of a rough close today. So to me, possible more downside, but it's got to get through that downward trend line, right, to start showing that it wants to reverse. Facebook. Facebook was a 15 orb consideration today. Let's see how that behaved. It's been just having issues, I think, more lawsuits and stuff like that. Where am I? This way. Okay. Here is, can't see anything. All right, I'm good. Here's your bar. Yeah, there's your 15 orb. Really, really challenging, clearly, because it broke to the upside. It was a challenging morning, actually, on a lot of things. But, 15 orb, you could have looked at, the ADX strategy that we talk about, So, let's just take a look at peak. Where is that? 15 orb here. See if it even made sense at the time. Could have RSI was really overbought at that point too, and then the movement of the DI minus. Anyway, so we'll take a look at that later. But for the most part, the orb on Facebook was a little bit rough, but it did give you a really nice quick topping tail there, and then that ended up working really well to the downside. But in terms of just where it's at and where we're going, I was bullish on this, of course. But it has to behave, it has to do what it's supposed to do. And technically, there's not much we can do here, even with the trend line. It's kind of just giving us some room. It is really, really in chop phase right now. It never broke above the RSI trend line, and then it's kind of just like working here. So, we'll take a look, see if more news comes out of it, and then we'll keep focusing on the 15 orbs on it. And then Google, the Goog, this is not doing it yet. Now again, there's that 1100 level, but it's painful to get there because a couple of the moves, and then I don't know why it keeps doing this. So there we go. There. Here we are. Okay, so from the gap down, that's your pivot point from the recent low right here. That's your most recent. Actually, let me click this, activate. That's your low. That's your most recent one. So it is still blah. So if anything, you might hit the kind of 1100, consolidate a little bit. If it can hold, all these levels, then eventually we're going to get a breakout, and this thing is going to be the ultimate swing long, because it's Google, and eventually it's going to really at least start working on this gap, right? So that's going to be sweet. So we'll just keep an eye on it and try to catch it. So very, very good. And then Roku, we will Roku. Let's see. Oh, inside day, guys. So that's good. This was our trend line. A couple 15 orb opportunities. Let me actually remove this. Okay, so inside bar kind of closed, a bit of a shooting star. So this is really good to look for a break to the downside, right? So let's do an alert on that. Okay. So that inside day down potential, of course, it breaks to the upside. You have inside day up potential, right? So here is your trend line from this kind of recent pivot point here. So it is breaking down below it, and it kind of came back up. So yeah, so a break of today's lows could be a significant push. Might end up testing at least 87 and possibly 83. So if it doesn't get any strength back to it, good stuff. Awesome call, Saul. Experience and thoughts. Apple. Let's take a look at Apple. Sure, Apple is not the apple of our eyes right now. It is looking pretty rough. So we tracked this and had some decent trades on this all the way up through as it connected to and held this Fibonacci arc, and then once it broke down through it, right, it's continued to have like a nice jump, right? This is sort of like a, I don't know, wormhole that it gets to like the next ring, right? So, but it basically has just simply gotten off this arc and it's down to this arc, and it is not holding it any longer. And so at this point, right, it is still below the downward trend line from its recent high, earnings high. So so let's just see if it just continues to the downside. Otherwise, if it consolidates here and there's a level that I'm not too familiar, it looks like there's an open gap here at 173.07. That is a possible place for a turning point, and then it could get above this trend line and maybe work its way back up to the fib arc. So cool. Net fried, all good. Prayer Kid, looking for quick pops on XLU, XLP, and also XLF. Stays below 2650. SPY will go lower. A pop above 2650, and you will see a pop in SPY. Yeah, I agree. You're talking about XLF. For the most part, all your stuff is, sure really good. Yes, I agree. If the if the financials get going, the market will follow. So it's sort of like a type of Dow theory, right? So yeah, definitely keep an eye on it. So if anything could get legs, this thing could. So just be careful, just of some levels. So it's got to get, like you said, like above that 2660 area, some confirmation, and then yeah, it could really start running. That would be great. Machine problem is SI Silver Futures. Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at it. LMP, I forgot how much you trade, commodities and stuff like that. So, sorry. But everybody just looks at SPX and bang. But yeah, cool. So silver, yeah, just sort of kind of working its way down here. I mean, it is pretty boring. But let's see. So here we go. No, it's not super boring. Okay, so here we are. Obviously, downtrending could be a wedge, type thing. There. All right, there's your downward trend line, but you could possibly have a wedge going on. Okay, so just something to keep an eye on. So then it could get very bullish, if it kind of can get eventually through this downward trend line and then work its way back up for a trend change. Shirley, what's going on? Let's check out your levels. Check out your ideas, which are always awesome. ARMK. Oh wow, that looks good. Nice pop today. Yeah, looks really good as long as it keeps holding this trend line. Right, I think you get some nice push to the upside. SESN. Okay. Yeah, there was our trend line there that ended up working really well. Then we got this hyper parabolic move. So watch out for potential bump and run, but as long as it continues, right, and it can get over that 284, it could keep going. And your levels are good. GFI. Goldfields Limited. Sounds like a fun job. Yeah, we've done this one before, haven't we? So we have the old pitchfork on that. Look what it did since the pitchfork, if you recall. So we tracked this, right, to hit the top of the pitchfork, came down, and now look, it's just been chopping around. It is starting to work out of this volumetric level. It's tried it before, so right, it has to get above that, and then it could eventually work its way up, right? So, but in the meantime, just be a little bit cautious there that it's dealing with the some volume levels. Let's go here. Look at that. Look at how it held those fib fan lines so well. Like, it's that resistance here too on the fib fan line. So just be careful of this one, Shirley. I'm gonna jump down a little bit. We'll do the last three. Let's do SIG or KIG. Compagnia Energetica. Cool. We've obviously looked at this one before too. So this is one of those ones that we were look at that. Is a lot of sideways action since this pitchfork that we've been tracking. And so it did test the bottom of it, got through the median line, now it's back above it. So yes, this does look like it has some good bullish potential on it. CME, we talked about this the other night, I recall. Yep, so there you are, still at that top of that channel. So just be careful of reversal there. It tried yesterday, now it could be working its way back out, but just have to be concerned until you get confirmation out of it. And then CZZ. Cool stuff. Yeah, we've been trying this one for a while. We did some Elliott wave on this, got to wave 5, and look at that. So once wave 5 was done, look, we got the reversal. So we have A, B, and we kind of were predicting, sort of an impulsive move here, and then it did get impulsive, right? So A, B, C. Okay, and then could be working its way back down, right? I mean, so just be careful with that. So this could be a 1, 2, and then might work its way back down here. So just be careful of that one if this Elliott wave that we're working on is counting. But all the RSI and all the moves are really good. I do like this bullish move here. Let's just pull a trend line up. just be careful. It could actually be working up rates. It might just be retesting some levels. Yeah, I would just use caution with this one. For some reason, I do like the move today, and it could get follow through to the upside. There might be some news or something like that. You'll get some more upside move, and if it does, then that 1383 is looking good, and it is above the median line, so that is bullish. So just be careful of some pullbacks on it. That's basically all I can see on that. So, call salt, no problem. My pleasure. Thank you for everything. Thank you guys for always tuning in and just being so supportive. And thank you to all all subscribers of everything on YouTube and everywhere. So appreciate you guys. So make sure if you're not already, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on Twitter, and also of course check out our newsletter. It comes out every week, so everybody can stay on top of the markets and get really, really cool trade ideas. You get to see me trade too in the private Twitter stream. So. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is Thursday already, so we'll be talking then. We'll finish up our discussion on options, and we'll see you then. So remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you, Shirley. I always appreciate you tuning in. We love your stuff. Have a great night.